moto is ready to go underway. Check it out. They're back to a grass starting gate here, no concrete. And down goes the gate. Here they come right up the middle. Riders down already. And it's Mike LaRocco, a very rare hole shot. Guy Cooper right behind him. There's Carmichael. And just like that, Carmichael on the inside, there's Ferry. Ferry will hold the lead on the number 15 Yamaha. Carmichael sweeps around the outside against the fence, and he edges out the Yamaha as they get ready to drop into gravity cavity.
He had to ride around that corner so much harder than Ferry on the outside with all that momentum just to out-horsepower that bike. He was worried about the horsepower that Ferry would have on that four-stroke. Also, LaRocco, the same power plant, and he beat him anyway. Not a bad start for his teammate Sebastian Tortelli either. So it's Carmichael, Ferry, LaRocco, Tortelli, and then Guy Cooper, 40 years old and running in 5th place. Just when it looks good for these other guys to try to stop Ricky, he just has an answer. Every time, LaRocco with a hole shot up, his mechanic Paul Delorier had to be thinking, yeah, here we go. And then Ferry comes in there and takes the lead, and Carmichael still finds his way to the front, already inching away. There you see Carmichael, then Ferry, LaRocco, Tortelli, and Josh Coppins. Not a bad start for a GP rider. He is up into 5th spot. Well, he wants to see what these guys are doing, and he's in a perfect place right now. Mid-pack start, he would never. Comes LaRocco, but where's Carmichael? Right to the inside. He kind of leans in on Ezra Point. Dinged right now, and he's nowhere near his teammate like he can ride with him and, you know, in testing. And as soon as he gets into the race and Carmichael's way out in front, I think Tortelli just wants to go home. He's doing back up to the front of the pack. Carmichael continues to lead, sort of pulling away, but at the same time, Tim Ferry keeping him honest. And Ferry won the first moto here last year, David. Actually, Carmichael didn't win either moto last year. Tortelli won the second one. And well, speaking of Bob Hanna, here's what he would look like if he were racing today, David. Except a little bit taller. Dropping down into the gravity cavity, Carmichael with a huge lead. He's been looking to his left as he drops in there, watching the battle for second behind him. I think he's just out front, having a little bit of fun and kind of going back and forth between having some fun and being bored and perhaps a little bit surprised that he's doing as well as he's doing here. After, as we went to break, I talked about he didn't win either moto here last year, which is probably why he's a little concerned about this race. At the same time, though, he hasn't actually lost an overall here since he was a rookie. Clear, Carmichael. And David, this has taken on the look of Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. Is this good for the sport, seeing Carmichael go undefeated? I can't make up my mind. You know, I think everyone's starting to root for him now because they can't believe what they're seeing. Well, we talked to Ricky about whether or not he could take it all the way to the end of the season.
I feel confident about the streak, especially with the tracks coming up that I like, you know, Millville, Washougal, and Steel City. I seem to do really well there, and really looking forward to trying to get through this weekend with the 1-1 sweep and getting it on the next 4 races.
Well, so far so good today here, David. Yeah, he acts as though he really hasn't been getting it on these races that he's been riding in, but he's just, I think right now, it just has gotten to the point where he's got such a good flow and so much momentum that everyone's just sort of letting him have it. And when he sits on the starting line, he expects it more than he ever has, and that makes the gap even wider. And of course, this will be a historic moto when he crosses the finish line. Right now, he is a half a lap away from breaking Mark Barnett's all-time winning streak of 14 straight moto wins. Barnett did it to start the 1981 125 national campaign, and then he missed the 8th race. This is Carmichael's 8th race, David, and he is perfect so far. Yeah, the whole thing with records, I mean, you have to address them because he is taking over all of them, but, you know, those were different days. I mean, that was the era of 45-minute motos, and a lot of things have changed, but Ricky is definitely strong, and had he been involved in racing back when Mark Barnett was racing, I think these guys would have had some great battles. He looks a lot like Barnett on the bike, doesn't he? He does. He's got that same attitude. You very rarely see Ricky riding slow. You know, of course, now we're talking about him in the last lap, and he can cruise on into the checkered flag. But once the race, they show up to a new racetrack or in Supercross, he's never seen the track before, he's fast right off the bat, and that is the trademark of Mark Barnett. Up over the wall for the last time here in the first moto. No tricks, no showing off, no nothing for Carmichael. I think he learned his lesson a couple years ago at Millville when he missed that no-footed can. But Carmichael about to ride into the record books at probably the 20th point of entry. Up over the hill, the checkered flag is out.
And there it is, 15 moto wins in a row stage. As the cart is sideways, they are getting ready to light off. And there they come out from behind the big Dunlop banner right up the middle. It looks like it's going to be Carmichael. That guy can't do anything wrong.
It's amazing. Lusk also with a good start. We got to give him credit on the two-stroke, getting a great start. But so many 450s now, and Carmichael's still able to get great starts. And besides his technique and his will to get that start, it helps that he's so light.
Coming up the inside, number 41 is Heath Voss on the Blackfoot Racing Honda. Lusk is third. Guy Cooper was fourth. And Carmichael coming out of Gravity Cavity. Classic Ricky Carmichael off the back, hanging on wide open. Now Tim Ferry has moved up into fourth place. Ferry, the sole Yamaha rider here today. David Billman back in France having that shoulder worked on.
David Billman, of course, one of the riders that could give Ricky a problem on a track like this. And Voss, I want to talk about, I was thinking he was on the four-stroke. I forgot the fact that he's been riding the 250, so a great start for him is very deep. It's only a few inches deep, and he just lays the bike in there, just about drags the handlebar anyway. See if Ferry...
Carmichael down into the back section. When he comes out this time, he will get the white flag here at Unadilla Valley Sports Center, and it will be 16 straight moto wins. That's 2 more than the all-time record, and he's making it look easy.
Everything's just working for him. He able to just mess around and kind of play on the track and find different lines, look at the fans, look around at the battle for second. He rides so aggressive in the first few laps and opens up a lead that these guys just kind of give up, figuring, well, even if we did catch him, he would just go faster and pull away again. And they don't know that for you know, they're not certain. They've got to get up there and race with him and find out. That's what he did to Jeremy McGrath in Supercross, and it worked.
David, going back a few years, you won 8 nationals in a row in a 500cc series. Does he have pressure on him right now? I mean, you were there with Brock Glover.
Well, I had to really fight for that with Brock, but still, I mean, I look at those 8, overall wins that I had actually in a row, and they split the classes 3 ways. We had 125, 250, and 500. He's got a little bit more competition. It's a little deeper, and the way he has done it by winning every single moto. I won 16 motos that season, but not in a row. This is just getting ridiculous.
Carmichael undefeated this year, and you know what? Looking back, he's been undefeated since last August 1st, and that was the day he lost the Washougal National to Kevin Windham. He went 2-2 that afternoon, and it's been a year since then. Ricky Carmichael has won 11 straight nationals up to today, and that is another record that no one's ever even thought about as a record.
Every time he gets on the bike, it's a record. It seems like these days. I mean, all the records that we thought were just unbreakable, he's breaking them all. The all-time win record, I'm sure he'll have. He could probably go after Jeremy's 72 Supercross wins if he wanted. I mean, he's led, what, like 150 laps
in a row?
Consecutive? Yeah, ridiculous.
See the Honda crew giving him the go-ahead. This would be Ricky Carmichael's 50th career national win. That's a full dozen more than the next guy, and that would be Bob Hanna. Carmichael down into the soft stuff, climbs the wall one last time. The lap riders looking at him. They don't know it, but they're kind of a part of history. But like you said, David, they're getting used to it. Every time he's on the track, it seems like he breaks a record. Down into the bottom one last time. Ricky Carmichael, 16 moto wins in a row, 8 national moto wins in a row, and the undefeated season continues.